Hello, I'm back, and here's a video. Um, I got back from work today, and I came to a startling realization. I read, I have a news feed that tells me the newest stuff going on in the gaming world. Um, Partially because I'm interested, and partly because, you know, information for my videos and the like. Something happened that basically just I've come to a dawning realization. There are some people in this gaming community that need to be stopped. Whether it's a specific person or a group of people or a type of website or news or gaming media news site, they need to be stopped. I'm here to talk about these sites and tell you what they are and how to stop them. After the break. Okay, I'm back, and it's time to get down to it. And the first one is a person. Michael Pachter. Oh my god. This guy is he's annoying. He's getting on my nerves. But it's not so much Michael Pachter, because I don't watch his show on game trailers. I don't really read his articles, and when they say something, it's that there are people who bring this jerk up, like what he says is gospel, when almost, I'd say 85 to 95% of the predictions that he makes about various companies are wrong. I mean, you know, okay, I have a Roth IRA, okay, which means that, you know, my retirement, I got to take my money and choose which stocks I wanted my money to go into. And like every 6 months to a year, I can go in and take and like cash in certain stocks, take that money and put it into other stocks that have grown, or let it ride, okay? So I pay attention to the stock market. This man is so wrong all the time, and people still listen to him. That's the thing that gets me. I mean, if you had a doctor who was wrong 95% of the time, they take his license away, and yet people are still listening to Michael Pachter. Well, Michael Pachter doesn't know what he's talking about. Or, okay, it's either one of two things, both of which are not good. Either Michael Pachter is the most ignorant gaming industry analyst on the planet, or he's willfully giving people false information in order to for his own gain. Now, I don't think he's the most ignorant game industry analyst, because this guy has degrees from other places. I mean, before he got into the game industry analyst BS, he made his money with analyzing other, companies and telling people where to invest their money. And considering he made a company out of doing this shit, and people trust him with their money, he must be right on some things. So I'm thinking it's the latter. I think he's willfully talking things up that's bullshit in order to help his client's bottom line. That's his job. But the thing is like, there's a difference between that and just the BS is too much. The BS is just too much. The BS is, I can't take it, okay? Now, recently, this man said that PS Now is doomed and it's going to fail. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, okay? I don't like Sony all that much. I like them for their third-party offerings, not for their second or first. Could care less about their first-party offerings. Don't care about Uncharted, God of War, Little Big Planet. It's like the shittiest platformer I've ever played in my life. Same with the sequel. I mean, I could care less about their first party, but their third party's pretty good. But even I know that in about 5 to 10 years, once the internet infrastructure picks up, PSN Now and services like PSN Now are going to be hot. Okay, now right now it's only going to do well in places that have the infrastructure for it. So Japan, a lot of places in Japan, the big cities in Japan, a lot of places in South Korea, metropolitans that have good, strong, metropolitan areas that have good, strong network infrastructure. America, not so much, because you still have like 65-75% of the population is either doesn't have access to dependable internet or is on dial-up. Okay, and dial-up is like not having internet, comparatively speaking. So is PSN now going to jump off? No, but it's a groundwork for something that could work very well for Sony in the future. Do I care about this? Not particularly. I like owning my stuff. I don't want to pay a subscription fee and rent a game in perpetuity. I want to own things. So I personally could care less about it. But even though I don't like it, I acknowledge that this is where Sony is going. We'll get to the group of people in the second group that just need to be stopped. Okay, now on to the second group of people that need to be stopped. Like the title said, I am tired of various gaming websites saying that, certain companies are doing well when they aren't, and other companies are doing poorly when they aren't. Okay? Now, Microsoft, whether you own an Xbox 360 or an Xbox or an Xbox One or not, Microsoft has never made money off of the Xbox. Never made money off of Live, because there's still a lot of people that don't have Live. Okay? There are a lot of people who live in a place where internet is not dependable, so why the hell would they want to play? Why the hell would they get a subscription for multiplayer and all that shit when they can't even use online play? Seriously, think, okay? So, no, Microsoft is not making money with their Live subscription, okay? They are trying to, because they're raping your wallets with double fees and putting things behind a paywall, but they're not making money off of it. Okay, so that brings us to Sony. Recently, it was announced that Sony is losing $1.1 billion thus far this year, and they're firing 5,000 people. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, okay? Their CEO would rather fire people so that their diminished gaming abilities to do things is diminished. And we have various gaming news outlets saying that this is a good thing, or not mentioning it at all. But Iwata takes a 50% pay cut, Miyamoto and the rest of them 30-20%. Oh, Nintendo's doomed. Let me put it this way. I'd rather have a CEO who put his own ass on the line instead of firing everybody else. What they like to call in corporate speak, trimming redundancies, or maximizing expenditures, and minimizing expenditures while maximizing profits. Okay? In other words, firing people who they feel don't add to the bottom line. Okay? Now, I own a business. I've had to fire people. I've had to hire people. Right now, I've been hiring people because, twofold, frankly speaking, believe it or not, I provide health care for my workers, and it's cheaper for me to have 25 people working for me in 2 locations. I'm going to have to hire 15 more for the new location that we're building this summer. It's easier for me to hire people and cheaper for me to hire people, and like what I'm paying for health insurance for those 35 people will be far less than what I'm paying now for 25, plus myself and my GM. Okay? The more people I have working on me, the faster my customers can get seated, the sooner they can get their play cards so they can go and play their games, the sooner they can get their orders in, the sooner they can get their drinks. The more people I have working for me, the faster my customers get in, get out, the more money I make. It's simple economics, people. Simple economics. Volume, okay? Now, Sony has lost billions of dollars. I mean, shitloads of money with the PS3. And every time people said, oh, they made a profit, they were selling businesses, they were selling buildings, they were selling IPs. It'd be like Nintendo saying, we're going to sell off Star Tropics and Earthbound because, you know, we're not using those and, you know, fuck them. We need the money. And people would say, Nintendo's doomed, but Sony sells their US headquarters and people are like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong there. They're Sony, it's Sony. Look, Sony is in trouble, and people don't talk about it. The gaming media will pull the wool over our eyes and say, oh, they're fine. Sony is not fine. I'll leave a link in the description field to my video where I talk about how Sony is not fine. Microsoft isn't fine. But they don't talk about it because that would hurt someone's feelings. Maybe it would make the stocks of certain people's stocks seem bad. Oh. But that pales in comparison to the final group of people that need to be stopped. And you'll find out who it is after the break. The last group that needs to be stopped are the rampant blind fanboys. These are people who have undying support for a company despite all of their faults, or undying hate for a company despite all of its triumphs. I'm talking about Nintendo fanboys that hate Sony, or Sony fanboys that hate Nintendo, or Xbox fanboys that think that Xbox Live is like the greatest shit ever and everyone else's multiplayer is garbage. Look, I understand that everyone has their preferences. I came of age during the second console war. You know, Sega does what Nintendo don't. Remember that? Remember that shit? Yes, I do. And, you know, I was a Nintendo, I'll admit it, I was a Nintendo person. I owned all Nintendo consoles at that point. I would have never even dreamed of putting a Sega in my house. I was like, fuck Sega, I'm not putting that shit in my house. Blast processing my ass. But ultimately, it came down to games. Were the games good? Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, okay? I never liked Sonic the Hedgehog. I still am not a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, I got Sonic the Hedgehog Lost World. Yes, it is a fun game. But if you were to compare Sonic Lost World to Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, it's an inferior game. I'm sorry. Sonic Lost World is a good game. It's a solid game. Is it as good as the Sonics from back in the day, like Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, Sonic CD? No. Sonic and Knuckles? No, it's not. It's not. We haven't gotten a good, solid Sonic game. Even Sonic Adventure isn't really that great, okay? It's a spectacle, but it's not great. Mostly because you're talking about two different styles of gameplay, okay? Sonic is about finding a route through a level, memorizing where enemies are, destroying them, avoiding them, getting a lot of rings, making it to the end of the level. Mario games, as platformers, are about exploration, okay? Speed can be important depending on where you are, but generally it's about exploring a level, figuring out the best way around it, where all the secrets are. And you're rewarded for that. Sonic the Hedgehog, you're not rewarded for that. If you don't believe me, jump underwater and wait about 30 or 45 or 60 seconds. He'll drown and die. It doesn't really... You aren't paid to dick around in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. You basically have to get all the rings, kill the enemies that are in your way, and make it to the end. hopefully hoping that a ring will appear that you can jump inside of and go for the Chaos Emerald. I mean, it's very cut and dry. I know they've generally changed it, but the general speeding through a level, collecting a lot of rings, making it to the end, you know, as quickly as you can. The general gist of the gameplay style has stayed the same compared to Sonic's competitor, Mario. I'm not a big fan of it. Okay? And yes, I own over 500 games across multiple systems, okay? Multiple systems, okay? People call me a Nintendo fanboy. I own 7 Nintendo systems, home console systems, including the Virtual Boy, because that shit ain't portable. So 7. NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, Wii U, Virtual Boy. 7. Okay, now I also own duplicates of those systems because I have a Japanese NES, the Famicom, and a Japanese SNES, Super Famicom, because some games I can't play on one or the other because stupid won't localize shit, Nintendo. Okay, 7, that's just Nintendo. But here's all the non-Nintendo systems I have. Atari 2600, Atari 70, the third one that could play, that was backwards compatible with the other 2 systems. I have a Commodore 64 in Intellivision. I have a Sega Genesis / Master System thing, because you can play both games on it, plus the card that you can stick in to play the cue cards. I have that's 5, okay? I have a Sega CD / Sega Master System combo. I have a Sega, I don't have a Sega Saturn. I have a Sega by itself. I have a modded Sega Dreamcast that can also play Saturn games. So that's 7. Okay. Let's see, what else do I have? I have a PC Turbo. I have a PC Engine / Turbo CD. It's both, so that's like 2 systems in one. Okay. Let's see. I have a Wonder Swan. Well, that's a handheld. I have a Neo Geo Pocket, which technically is also a Neo Geo because it plays those big ass Neo Geo games. So that's 8. So that's 8 plus 7. That's 15. And those are just my consoles. Here are my handhelds: Wonder Swan Color, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS. That's 7. Plus numerous defunct handhelds. Like, I have a Sega Nomad and a Game Gear, and I have like 2 games for the Game Gear, and I can play all my Sega Genesis games on the Nomad. So and let's see, what else. Jesus Christ. One day I'm gonna have to do an inventory. I know I have more. I have a Hudson Soft Turbo Portable, which plays the cue card games portable. It's kind of shitty, but I got it. So that's 8. Okay, so 15 plus 8 is 23. I have 23 systems, the vast majority of which are, well, if you count the handhelds, the vast majority of them are Nintendo. But I mean, it's not like a huge majority. It's like 12 Nintendo, 11 non-Nintendo. Actually, probably less than that. 12 non-Nintendo, 11 Nintendo. I have many consoles, plus I game on PC, okay? Not like, I don't have a gaming PC, but my PC can play high-end specs on last year's top games, and mid-level, low-end specs on graphically intensive current-gen games. So, I mean, I can, I play a lot of stuff, but the fanboys have to stop. and really think about things, okay? So here's some harsh truths for everyone. I'm gonna start with Nintendo because I'm a Nintendo fan. Nintendo has lost some money. Can they turn it around? Yes. Is the Wii U going to be as profitable as the Wii? No. Will it outsell the GameCube? Probably. Probably it will. If Nintendo continues to provide great games, it will. Hands down, no questions asked. It's going to be a good system. Okay, next. Xbox. The Xbox One, for you fans of the Xbox One, the Xbox One was not made for gamers, okay? It was made because Microsoft wants to basically be the all-in-one media center, okay, for your television. Kind of like how what Philips was going for oh so many years ago when they made the CDI. The problem is that cable is going out. So in about 10-15 years, this business model is running towards a dead end. So, I mean, if you support Microsoft as they currently are now as a gamer, you're supporting the death of gaming as we know it. Gaming will go on, but gaming as we know it, where people own things and it's their own media, when it happens, I don't want to hear you Xbox fanboys, oh, how could this happen? You motherfuckers sided with the devil on this one. Sony. You Sony people who love Sony so very much, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Stop bragging about how many new IPs Sony has. You want to know why Sony makes new IPs? Because none of their IPs are nearly as good as Nintendo, okay? And Sony started out like trying to emulate Nintendo. They're still trying to emulate Nintendo when it comes to IPs, but they don't. I mean, you have to nurture an IP, okay? You can't just say, oh, this shit didn't sell. Well, fuck it. Let's fire the studio that made it. If Sony was smart, they would have taken PS All-Stars and used it as a test example and said, okay, what went wrong? What went right? How can we make this better? Instead, Sony said, it's not working right off the bat, so fuck it. Now, I don't like PS All-Stars. I think it's a piece of shit. But even I recognize that, you know, not everything is going to be successful, okay? You do an experiment to see if it works. You change things, then you bring it to the mass market. They should have done that. They could have made a PS All-Stars for the PS4 that would have been a much better game if they had just given it a chance. But it's Sony, and Sony's first-party IPs are shit. They are shit, yes. They are shit. They get critical acclaim by people who are tired of Nintendo, but in terms of sales, most of them don't sell very well. Case in point, Tearaway, the must-have game for the Vita, or Knack. So, in general, what I'm saying is that fanboys who just have undying, just unremitting hatred or undying love without reason for these companies or against other companies, you guys have to stop. You guys have to just stop. Just stop. You have to stop, okay? This cannot go on. That's the end of this video. Please stay tuned for other videos coming this week.